guys, welcome back to Artie Speed and Fab. I'm Rob Artie, and today we're gonna do some more Mustang stuff. I know that I said that the next video on the Mustang was gonna be a driving impressions video, but I found some more things on the Mustang I really need to give some attention to. And also, I bought another tool I probably don't need. So let's jump into it. Guys, raise your hand if you know what this is. Okay, so I do not need this tool. I just don't need it. It's going to be super handy to have, and I'm really thankful that I have it. But basically, what this is this an Aeroquip? What's the part number? FT 1330 crimp machine. It makes hydraulic hoses, and I can make hydraulic hoses now. So I bought this on a gamble, not seeing it work on Craigslist. Who uses Craigslist? On Facebook Marketplace. And I paid $400 for it, and the thing weighs a metric ton. It is heavy. I had to use my shop crane to get this thing in and out of my truck by myself. But all this is steel up here. So basically the way it works, it needs a cleanup too. So don't think that that's not going to happen. But you have these 3 die sets up here. They sit in there. You flip this thing on, push the button, push the button. Why isn't it working? Okay, as I was saying, you flip it on, push the foot pedal, and you have one of these die sets in here. Your hose goes in the front, and it takes a lot of pressure, and it crimps a hydraulic fitting. So you can make your own power steering lines or any kind of pressure lines that you need. Let go of the pedal and it just retracts by itself. There's some issues in here with connectivity. This thing keeps losing its its contact, and it bugs out. But anyways, I have this dolly. I actually made this dolly to move my lathe when I moved here. But I'm gonna leave it on there, and I think what I'm gonna do is just probably shove it up under there. Anyways, do I need that? No, hydraulic hoses are like 15 bucks to go down to the hydraulic shop and have made. I'm kind of rural, so we have a lot of like farm stores that will make hoses for you. But anyways, if you need a hose in your local, hit me up. Okay, back on the Mustang. Now, one of the things that, like I said, I was about to put this thing back together and start driving it around. And I remember Mike saying that he had some issues getting in and out of the car with the leg here hitting the steering wheel. And I remember, if you go back to my initial video, my impressions video on this car when I got it in, I was looking at it, and the steering column is wrong for the car. It has a column ring here for like a shift column. I think this column is out of a truck, is what I think. So initially I was like, yeah, it's not that big a deal. When I change the seats, I will, figure out what's going on and maybe just get a lower seat, and that'll clear it up. But I've been doing some measurements, and I'm looking under the dash, and that column is wrong for this car. So if that column's coming out, I'm going to buy one that's going to fit the car better. And also we'll have tilt, and I want a collapsible steering wheel. I figure while we're in there, why not make it a little bit safer and put a collapsible column in there? I believe it should have one. I don't think it does. I don't think this one is collapsible. But we're going to pull this thing out, and we'll start taking a look at everything. I got to make some initial measurements because no one makes a 33-ish inch column with a tilt and the ignition on the column itself, because this is a 1970. They moved the ignition switch from the dash on the 69 to the column on the 1970. So we want to keep that feature of the 1970 Mustang, so we need a column with the ignition on it. So to get here, or to get access to the column, I did have to remove the booster and the master cylinder. It was kind of a pain because I already made all the lines and ran them all. So all that's exposed, so I could get to everything, and now I can. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start backing off the nuts for the rag joint and pull the column out of the car. Oh, that's not good. Guys, Now I'm really glad we did this. You can see I just put my wrench down, right? The nuts on this rag joint are finger tight. All right, we got the bolts off the rag joint. Now we're gonna move under the dash and disconnect everything under there. Under the dash is always a lot of fun. I went ahead and took the seat out to give me more room. Big guy in a little car. Let me show you some stuff. All right, let's see how long it takes for me to knock that camera over.
That didn't take long at all.
Okay, can you see what I'm doing here? Okay. We're hanging by wires. We're hanging by wires. Let's see here. It always goes this way, inevitably. You break into something to get a better look at it, to fix an issue that you found, and the deeper you dig, the more you find. Check this out. Now, I simply cannot let this car go back like this. Okay, so this is the wire to the tack. It's sharing power to something, I don't know. And this car has been rewired. It has a wiring kit in it. But it's weird because a lot of the ignition stuff is still factory, and this is still factory coming out of the column there. But man, I mean, I have to figure this out. I can't set. Look at that, dude. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a problem. I'm gonna have to fix all this stuff. I can't send Mike his car back like this. So this is the kind of shit that lets the smoke out. This right here is what burns cars down. Okay guys, quick update on the steering column on the Mustang. I know last I showed you, I had just removed it. I actually just put it back in the car, and the reason I put it back in the car is because I pulled it out and I put it on the bench and I went through it. And all the part numbers say 1970. 70 to 72, which is correct. So I was like, why does this thing not fit? And the problem we were having is when you would go to get in the car, your thigh, even on a moderately sized dude, like everyone in my family, we got tree trunks for legs, we're big people, and this was an issue right here to here. But what I found is that whoever reinstalled this when they did the Borgeson power steering, so it has the Borgeson box in it, so all this stuff was changed at some point, and because of that, this steering column was more than likely removed from the car. And when they put it back in the car, they didn't do so judiciously, and it was actually missing hardware, and some of it was loose. But long story short, let's see if we can see it. But back under here, right there, this piece where this bolt is, right there where that flashlight's touching, it is, well, as you can see also right here, it is slotted for adjustment, and it was like all the way down. Now there is some play in it. So basically what I'm doing now is I put the seat back in, and I adjusted the column so it's all the way up. And with it in that position, I can get my big body in and out of there just fine. I've got a little bit longer legs than Mike, and I'm a little taller, so the seat's back a little bit further. But this works fine now. So I'm going to reassemble the car, do all my shakedown and everything with it, and see if that's sufficient for Uncle Mike. I think he wanted a tilt column just because that was an issue. But now that it's not an issue, we might get to save Uncle Mike $1,000 or so. Now that I pulled it out and I test fit and I know the problem, or at least I think I know the problem, I'm going to pull it back out, put everything back together right. going to clean that up and secure the mounting, not location, but the mounting method back to that little fiberglass piece, because it's on here in a fashion that's not awesome. So we're going to clean this up and throw it back in the car correctly, and hopefully that'll give us the room we need. Okay, I'm going to put the saddle back on the column now, and since it's steering stuff, I don't really like to mess around. Going to give it some of the old red sauce here. So the strangest thing is happening with my smell. I lost my smell and my taste with COVID, and then my smell slowly started to come back. My taste is kind of coming back. I can taste like super strong things, and I can smell super strong things. But one weird thing that started happening with my smell about a week ago is I smell cigarette smoke all the time. It's the strangest thing. There's no one smoking right now, but it smells like someone is standing right next to me smoking a cigarette. And I've always been very sensitive to cigarette smoke. I grew up with it, and it's like, I'm sure it's mental. It's some kind of like weird mental thing, but it's so crazy. That's all I can smell now all the time is cigarette smoke. Man, the COVID, dude, strangest way I've ever been sick. Let's go put this thing back in the car. All right. Okay, steering stuff is complete on Uncle Mike's Fastback here. I just need to pop the seat back in, but the column is up, and man, this gap right here is so much closer than it was, and the steering wheel is higher. That's absolutely the fix. It just was installed incorrectly. I feel so bad sometimes when guys can't do this stuff on their own and they send cars to shops, because you really never know what you're going to get. And a lot of the times, if it's stuff that you don't, that's like not easily inspectable, people get taken for a ride, and it sucks. Kind of what happened with Uncle Mike on some of this stuff. He had 2 different shops work on this car over the years. One of them did a really good job, and one of them just got paid. Anyways, that's wrapped up for now. Let's work on getting that thing. Can you see it right there? Over on that thing. Can you see it right there? My tubing bender. Because I want to get this done right now, because I'm going to put a cage in that car. That's the plan. Let's see if I can figure out the instructions on this swag off-road stuff. I read it like a 3rd grade level. Just kidding, so it might take me. Okay, here's all the bits and bobs. Don't mind the messy table. I was making stuff. Okay, bits and bobs. What I need is a welder, drill bits, and basic hand tools. I have all of that in spades. An accident, but I put the heat on different sides, like alternated them, because when you put the heat and it cools, it's going to pull that part that way. So I put some heat on one side and then switched the other side, and this tube has stayed free. So I mean, I really didn't expect that to happen. I think it's cool that it did, though. Almost done. I figured we hit him with the Ford blue, just make it pretty. Okay, I got everything painted up here. Got it all painted up. Looks good. Had to make some adjustments. These bronze or oil light bushings, whatever they are, they're just a touch long for the Woodward Fab bender. It's 4 inches the spread, and these are like, with everything assembled, it was a little over that, so I had to just take them over to the lathe and knock it all down. See if it fits this time. If it's gonna fit, it's gonna be super good. Alright, I had to get a little goofy with it, but it took both of my hands and most of my brain to make it work. So it's got all lined up. from the bed, but I can't go without getting this done. It's so close. Can't walk out of here like that. All right, guys, we're back. It's not even the next day. It's like 5 days later. My life is, it's a mess. It's crazy. That's why I can't get out videos on like a schedule because it won't allow it. We're going to come over here. Let me get you off the stand. We're going to come over here. We're going to finish tightening this thing up. We're going to bend a test piece, and then we're going to wrap this video up. So let's bend a test piece after I tighten this up. All right, guys, we're ready for a test bend. I had some problems where I couldn't figure out, there was something wrong with this ram, and I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. Turns out I lost that little check ball underneath the valve because I took the valve off because it has this little knob for you to replace it with so you can operate it without the tool. Anyways, I lost that check ball and I was chasing my tail for like 45 minutes. But I stole it out of another unused bottle jack that I have, and it's back in operation now. So I've got a test piece loaded up. Let's go over here and see how this thing works. All right, first thing I'm gonna do is lube this up because as it pulls through that die, it pulls the pipe through it. So I haven't vented a lot of pipe with this thing yet. Well, none with this, but not a lot, period. So let's see how it goes. Whoops. There we go. Oh, gotta close the valve. Okay. Okay. Apparently it's been a long week. It works fine. I just didn't have the valve open all the way. I just barely cracked it, and it wasn't enough to bring the check ball off of the seal apparently, but it works. It bent the pipe great. Part of the reason it stuck is this piece of pipe had some surface rust on it, and I pulled it through the follow die, and now there's a bunch of surface rust like jammed into the follow die. So I was dumb for that. But this works great. I'm happy that this tool works. Speaking of tools, I got a new tool coming in the mail today, and I bought it specifically for the 1960 F100 project. If you don't know about that, there's a video on that. Check that out. It should be, as soon as the Mustang's out of here, that truck's coming in. And then, of course, I'll still be working on the Falcon, but the truck is going to be a main player here too. And it's going to be a quick build. It's not going to be like the Falcon down to the nuts. I mean, it's going to come all the way down, but it's going to be a patina build. So hopefully I can get that one done together and driving on the road a lot quicker. So this tool's done. All right, guys, that's it for this one. We're going to call it a wrap on that video. Thanks for coming around. I really appreciate our time together. Like I always say, having the interaction with you guys really means a lot to me, and kind of any interest in the stuff that I do in the shop keeps me motivated to keep going. So thanks a lot for that. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. More cool stuff coming very soon. This car is getting there, and it's kind of starting to fight me a little bit along the way, but that's okay. They all do a little bit. This one should be wrapped up probably this summer with paint, and then we're going to get that 1960 F100 in here. So stay tuned for that. Again, thanks so much for coming around. See you soon.